Hi there, it's Margie from Hush Education. Today's story is going to be Hair in Funny Places by Babette. Again, this is a little bit of an older book, so it is a little bit binary gendered, but it's a great starter book, an early talking book about puberty. And I would very comfortably be reading this from about perhaps the age of 7 or 8 years old. I like to read it to our classroom, in our classroom sessions, to sort of sum up talking about puberty and leading into starting to talk about reproduction. So Hair in Funny Places by Babette. Teddy, when will I grow up to be a grown-up? That depends on Mr. and Mrs. Hormone. They are in charge of growing up. They live inside you and are so tiny that you can't see them. If you could, this is what you would see. When your mum was little, she was just like you. And for about 11 years, Mr. and Mrs. Hormone slept peacefully inside her until her body clock woke them up. This made them very grumpy. It was time to mix the potions that turn children into adults and send them around her body. And we've got hair, bosom, womb, brain, bones, skin, joints, so all different parts of the body across the bottom there. Mrs. Hormone's mixtures began to work, and your mum sprouted small bosoms. It's another word for breasts. And hair in funny places. Her voice deepened. Then she found a tiny drop of blood in her knickers. It meant one day she could be your mummy. A year or two later, the bleeding happened once a month. Sometimes it made her feel awful, but she was pleased to be growing tall. The potion made her mad about boys, and at the same time, it gave her spots. She worried in case she wasn't developing in the same way as her friends. But Mrs. Hormone's mixtures do not affect everyone at the same time. The stuff made her feel very up and down. Some days she felt pleased with herself, but on others she was angry with everyone. Never mind, she had a grown-up body which she liked, and so did the boys. Don't know about that part. Now, let me tell you about your dad. When the hormones got to work on him, he was only about 8 and looked very like a girl, except for his small penis. To make him grow up, they worked out a whole new chemical mixture. And this one says, essence of puberty, boys. They flooded his insides with it. So these are all the hormones travelling around in the bloodstream. A year or two later, his shoulders broadened and his penis thickened. He too grew hair in funny places. As for his voice, it was deep one minute and squeaky the next. He soon began to take an interest in girls. Inside his penis, Mr. Hormone was lurking with another dollop of the mixture. This made it grow big and small whenever it wanted. Then some sticky stuff actually came out. It meant one day he could be your dad. He wanted to kiss girls, but the hormones had made him spotty and smelly. That's the saddest page in the book. By the time he was 18, the spots had disappeared and he was a handsome young man. And he's looking at himself in the mirror. He's got no clothes on. And it says, hooray, I've got a hairy chin and chest and a bigger one and hairy legs. Then Mr. and Mrs. Hormone's dog invented the wildest potion. Whoa. Can you see what it's called? It's a love potion. when your mum and dad met, the potion was sent whizzing around their bodies. They went crazy about one another. And they made you. I suppose when you grow up, you won't want me anymore. Oh no, Ted. You are so wise. I will always love you. So it's just a funny sort of introduction to puberty for little kids. Goodbye.